Broadcasting live on YouTube, Facebook, and X. Here's your host, Andrew Romanella.
Okay? Like, just get the hell out of here. Nobody cares what you think if you're not a Mets fan.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to another edition of the Rome Show, broadcasting live on YouTube, Twitter, X, Instagram, and Facebook. I'm your host, Andrew Romanella. We got you for the next 30 or 35 minutes. It's an exciting show because the one, not the only, but the one Rocky Romanella.
I can't handle this too, Rocky Romanella.
For the Rome Show, we'll be here and we will be talking National Hockey League as the Stanley Cup playoffs get started the next 5 days. The NHL season ends tomorrow, and there is a lot we need to break down. I'll give you the pleasantries, and then we're getting Rocky on the airwaves. YouTube.com/the Romanellas. You can also scan the QR code in the corner of the screen, but that's youtube.com/the Romanellas. Head there and hit subscribe for me, people. Twitter X, Instagram, The Rome Show 1. That's the Twitter X or the Instagram, The Rome Show, then the number 1. Facebook.com/The Rome Show podcast, wherever you listen to cast a full show of Rocky Romanella, a full show of breaking down the National Hockey League. Let's get into it. Now, inside the glass, hockey with Rocky.
Yeah, let's go. He shoots, he scores here on the playoff preview.
Yeah, it's exciting. How we doing? It's been a minute since we've seen your face on the screen.
It has been. It's been quite significant time. A lot's been going on. A lot of good hockey stories, but more importantly, kicked off baseball season last night in the Nationals League. The Orioles looking good. A team of 8 kindergarteners absolutely mashing baseballs at the first practice last night. It was great.
That's exciting, and you got a really good day for that too, huh? The weather was fantastic for opening day of the Nationals, huh?
Yeah, it was. And we were behind the ECS, behind the elementary school. Great tree cover, actually, so it was a little shady. The wind died down. Really made for a great environment at 6:45 last evening.
That's electric. How was that game comparative to the 7th straight loss for the New York Metropolitans?
It's funny. I came into the year with the Mets. Like, I don't have any expectations, and it feels really good to know that it could go either way. And then I watched a couple of games and like, oh wow, we actually have a chance to be really good. But then you start following because you're like, oh, we might be good, and then they just keep not winning.
Yeah.
And you're just like, let's just get back to the no expectation place, and you'll be good to go.
I figured we'd at least get that out of you before we go hard onto the ice. But obviously, being a Mets fan is difficult, Rocky. And I got to be honest. We talked about it a lot with the moves that were made in the offseason. And we were excited. We were reserving judgment. And I'm still going to reserve judgment because if you remember, this baseball team was like 16 games over 500 last year, and we didn't even make the playoffs. So maybe this is a good thing. Maybe finally, instead of being so freaking good early, and then we have to spend July, August, and September figuring out if we're going to make the playoffs, maybe we start slow here, not how you start, how you finish type idea.
I hope so.
We can hit the Jets, but you have to win games, though. Like, you can't lose every game for that to be the proposition.
No, you can't win. And it's never a good sign early in the season, because if you look, this was the Rangers this year, where every game going to extra innings.
Yeah, yeah, no, it can't be. It's
I
not
felt
true.
like the first three games I watched were in extras.
Yeah, and they've been low scoring too, which is good from a pitching staff and a defense side of things. But when you have the quote unquote what you're supposed to have, that's what a better word, firepower in your offense with Soto. I know he's hurt right now. With Lindor, why you went and got Bo Bichette. Those are all guys that you're Simeon. You're expecting them to perform for you, and they're not. And then
No,
Soto's hurt.
Carson Benj is our best player, and he's a
And he's a
rookie.
freaking rookie. Exactly.
Yeah,
Rocky, the second thing I have for you before we get going with the hockey, okay,
yeah.
is Meg. I don't know if I should feel good about this or if I should feel bad about this. Okay. But Meg writes in, and it'll be up on your screen here. Rocky Romanella is in the building today. Today is a good day. But here's the kicker, Rocky.
Aussie Mag, let's go.
Here's the kicker. How about this one? My favorite Romanella is here. There you are.
Wow, wow. I'm honored.
I mean, our I don't know what to think here.
I know.
Yes, I don't know. But clearly, I speak on these airwaves every day, like 30 to 35. I thought Meg and I had a great relationship. I say Sidney Crosby one time. I say his name in vain, and now I'm out. I'm out.
One time. I know. Now he's in the playoffs, looking good, like looking
Now,
like a hero.
all right, let's get to it then, because I think that I've been saying it all year, Rock. Okay. Oh, look, she wrote it, Andrew. That's because you said the kids sucked.
Yeah.
I've been saying it all year. I think that this National Hockey League season has been so much fun. I mean, when you have three teams that have 90 plus points and don't make the playoffs, I feel like that alone is all you need to know. When a Buffalo Sabres team makes the playoffs for the first time in 15 years and then wins their division, like that's all you need to
Go
know.
Sabres.
When the Vegas Golden Knights fire their head coach and then it works, and of course it's John Tortorella behind the
Why wouldn't
bench.
it be?
Why wouldn't it be? It's a great NHL season. So before we even go like deep into it, like, am I crazy thinking that way, or could this not be one of the most entertaining Stanley Cup playoffs we've seen in a minute, Rock?
No, I think it's a great I think for the teams, for the headlining teams that are not in big markets, New York Rangers, Toronto Maple Leafs, for last back-to-back Stanley Cup champion, Florida Panthers not in
Yeah.
it. Um, for headlining teams like that, no Chicago Blackhawks, no Macklin Celebrini and the San Jose Sharks. So
How about this
you've
stat?
got, yeah, first time the tri-state area teams, no one's there, right?
Wild.
Like, so you've got major markets and major NHL talent not in, and the buzz around hockey is probably like hockey's going through a moment right now. And not only is it the NHL season that has to do with it, but like it was obviously the Olympic playoff year,
Yep.
USA, right? We sweep hockey at the Olympics from Paralympics to women to men's. It is our game, and so it's a perfect storm. And then you get back from the Olympic break, and the Sabres and the Lightning give us one of the most
Best.
classic hockey games
Yeah.
where you are literally, if you are a pure hockeyist, a hockey purist, there was nothing better than that game in the NHL that
You got
night.
everything in that game.
And
Literally
it's
everything.
just like, I mean, you've got Jack Hughes pulling Tage out when they get back from the gold. You've got like Sidney Crosby at age 40, just like willing his team into the Stanley Cup playoffs with a rookie coach who is really there for the future.
This
Um,
season, Ovechkin broke Gretzky's goal record, and you don't even
again,
remember
yeah,
it because so much has happened since then.
yeah. I mean, you've got the Anaheim Ducks returning to the playoffs, right? Joe Quinville is making his return to the NHL and he's
Yeah.
back in the playoffs.
Wild.
So you've got, not only did Vegas fire their coach, but the Islanders decided to do the same thing
And it
2
didn't
days
work.
later. Nah, it was that was I was in haste.
Yeah. Come
That was
on.
you could have waited. That was a
Guy's a
poor
Hall of Famer. I
decision.
don't care
And
if
for
he's a
Peter
bad coach.
DeBoer, for
Yeah, I
Peter
know.
DeBoer,
I don't like gross.
no. Peter
Gross.
DeBoer just got fired because he put Jake Ottinger on blast. Guy's the second best goaltender in the entire United States, and you're going to give him Ilya Sorokin?
Yeah. Brutal, dude.
No.
Brutal. Yeah.
No way. Anyways, but it was, I mean, to me, hockey is at an all-time high right now. To me, they're going through a moment. Everyone's talking hockey, everyone's playing. It also helps that I'm in like a hockey hotbed, so
Sure.
it feels like everyone's talking about it.
Yeah. So let's
Flyers.
start.
How about the Flyers are in the
I,
playoffs? We got the
I,
Battle of Pennsylvania. I mean,
uh,
there's just so many good stories.
so I was gonna start with what teams are in and which teams are not, and to give some information to the people out there that may not have been on the NHL all season. The best record in the league is going to belong to the Colorado Avalanche. They are the President's Trophy winner. Now, that does not necessarily mean they should be your favorite to win the Stanley Cup, because winning the President's Trophy and making a run at winning Lord Stanley's Cup do not necessarily equate in the NHL. The division with the most teams in, with 5, was the Atlantic Division, and that would
Yes.
surprise you now, because if you looked at the standings 41 games ago, I don't know if you would have believed that. And I mentioned before, but I'll mention it again. 3 teams, 90 points or more, that did not make the postseason. On the left of this graphic, you have the Western Conference, and on the right of this graphic, you have the Eastern Conference. We'll start with Eastern Conference, Rocky, because as I pop this up on the screen, thank you to Sportsnet, you have the 4 Eastern Conference matchups already slated. We'll start there. Rocky, I'll give the matchups, then you give us our thoughts. You have the Buffalo Sabres. Rock,
Yes.
can you? I keep saying that out loud. The Buffalo Sabres, and then they're
Listen,
taking. Go ahead.
the world is on fire right now. Ticket prices are soaring. The people here in Western New York are loving life.
They're excited. They take on the Boston Bruins. Then you have the Tampa Bay Lightning, who have just always been there for John Cooper's existence behind the bench, taking on the Montreal Canadiens, then the Carolina Hurricanes and the Ottawa Senators, and then the battle Rocky just mentioned of Pennsylvania, of 2 cities, Philadelphia versus Pittsburgh, 2 cities that believe they are blue collar as blue collar gets. We can debate that on another day. Pittsburgh versus Philly. Rocky, that's a great start to the Eastern Conference playoffs.
That is a great start because it's 2 teams that no one would have expected to be there, right? Pittsburgh moves on from Mike Sullivan. They're a longtime head coach, 2-time Stanley Cup winner. They bring in rookie Dan Muse, and it's a swap, Rangers for Penguins, as Muse came off the assistant coaching bench from the Rangers. And, you know, from day one, really from day one in the season, the Penguins have played an absolutely solid game. It was as if nothing changed on in their organization. It almost seemed like they were playing a rejuvenated game under Dan Muse. A little bit of nervousness when you get back from the Olympic break, as Crosby has the injury. Um, and no, they've just been steady Eddie. They make the deal in the middle of the year, Tristan Jari for Stuart Skinner, which everyone's still kind of scratching their head about. And it's really like, the Pens are like, it's a combination of old and new. Whereas like they're going to be playing the Flyers, which is truly like an up and coming. We were probably a year away from the playoffs kind of team, but found themselves in based on how competitive the Met was. And it's really an interesting matchup. Rick Tocchet coming back, right? Rick Tocchet gets back behind the bench with Vancouver. Year 1 was incredible. Year 2 was in turmoil. They trade away JT Miller back to the Rangers. He leaves the Vancouver Canucks. Only a year later, they trade away Quinn Hughes. So was he the architect of despair in Vancouver? No, he gets hired to go back to his alma mater in Philly. And even throughout the year, he's on Makai Michkev. He's vocally hard on the guy. He's young, but you're like, do they have a good culture? Is this a good team? Right? They pick up Trevor Zegras in the summer. And I tell you what, their youthful movement was able to have enough firepower, enough to get them to this point. It is a very interesting matchup. I'm going to pick the Pittsburgh Penguins in the
Who is
battle.
this dude in between the net for the Flyers?
So
Dan
I don't know.
Vladar.
It's Vladar. Dan
He's
Vladar.
3rd best goalie in the league, Rock.
Yeah, he's really good. That's probably why they're
2.42
there.
goals against. He's
So
Got
it's
it.
funny. I was doing my previews, and there's like almost not any series where like I didn't like write down goaltending is going to be a difference maker.
Well, and when you're looking at, I have the overall in the National Hockey League right now, looking at the best goaltenders in the league, and though I say the President's Trophy and being the best team in the league during the regular season doesn't necessarily equate to Stanley Cup opportunity. When you look at the Colorado Avalanche, they have the best goalie in the league in Scott Wedgwood, and then they have the eighth best goalie in the league in Mackenzie Blackwood, which is also sad because that's a former New Jersey Devil. But nonetheless, that right there, Andre Vasilevsky, 2.31 goals against. That's why the Tampa Bay Lightning are so good. Like, you have to have defense and goaltending in the National Hockey League. Rock, I don't care what iteration of the NHL you've played in over the last 50 years. If you didn't have goaltending, it's hard to win a Stanley Cup.
No doubt. And I think the goaltending for the Flyers keep it in. I think that series goes the distance. I think goes 7 games. But I'm gonna lean into the Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, Chris Letang, playoff Stanley Cup um, prowess and veteranship as the ultimate winner there.
How we feel about the Buffalo Sabres in their first playoff appearance in the 15 years, having to go against a perennial playoff contender in the Boston Bruins.
Well, listen, I've watched the Sabres a lot. I keep making the joke that I know their lineup better than I know the Rangers lineup through the end of the season, which was just sad for me.
Yeah.
Exciting to be a part of it though, and I will say the youth, like so, it's Rasmus Dahlin, it's Tage Thompson. These are the guys that they built the team around. It's their first time in the playoffs. I think it's been 6, maybe 8 seasons. It could be 8 seasons, maybe 6 for Rasmus Dahlin, captain of the Sabres. But you're sitting here and you're like, you know, okay, they turn it around after they fire the GM midseason, which is another great storyline, right? They're last in the Atlantic, last in the East, fire their GM, essentially really no change at the player level. And they just start playing with an identity. And it's a physical identity. It's really like Sabres' identity. If you look at their history, you get to the trade deadline after the Olympic break, and they just make the greatest moves. They get depth at fourth line, they get depth at defense, they stay physical, they stay tough. They pick up a couple of pieces that have won Stanley Cups in the past that will probably be in and out of the lineup, not even staples. But they pick up some of that experience. And I tell you what, the way they played against the teams that you would expect them to struggle with in the playoffs down the stretch makes me really believe that they have a chance to win the first round series. And for the Bruins, they're kind of like the Penguins. It's a mix of old, it's a mix of new. I listen. I watched the Bruins play a handful of times this year. I was never that impressed with their game, and I think it's all going to come down to Jeremy Swayman for the Bruins, and who's proven really to be more of a head case in the playoffs than a steady, reliable goaltender.
I think that the Bruins are one of those teams right now where the name might reign a little bit more true than actually how good this team is comparative to the Buffalo Sabres. Like, I think if you get caught up in, oh man, we got to play the Bruins or the Lightning, you start thinking about the name instead of just the fact that this isn't your dad's Boston Bruins. This isn't your Gordie Howe Bruins. This isn't your even when what's his Zadara Chara, excuse me, was there with Marchand that era. That ain't this team. So I think a Buffalo as well, just in general. If they're a better team, I think they play a more physical brand of hockey, and I think the physical brand of hockey has to show up in the postseason.
Yeah, I can't decide if it's going to go 6 or 7 here. I'm going to lean on this. I'm going to pick.
Oh,
I'm going to pick the Sabers. Yeah, there you go. The biggest question for the Sabers was who's going to start in net because they've pretty much split the entire year between Alex Lyon and Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. And for a minute, I think with about like 20 games left, I was leaning real hard on Lyon. I like the youth story. I like him like not really being the expected starter. I thought he was playing great. But when you really look at down the stretch, they played really well in front of UPL. He played really strong. He won both of the Tampa Bay games, even though he gave up 7 in the first. He only gave up 2 in the second, and like he won that game too. So I just like the way they played in front of him. I think they're going to lean on UPL, but I caution against any team that's going to be playing 2 goaltenders in the playoffs. It's just a recipe for disaster, in my opinion.
I just don't see how you can't have one guy. That's the guy. All right, two more before we take our commercial break, then go Western Conference. We have the Tampa Bay Lightning, I think my favorite hockey team outside the New Jersey Devils, and the Montreal Canadiens. Now, last year, we had a plethora of Canadian teams in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Not as many this year, but I do think stronger this year. Your thoughts on Tampa versus Montreal?
Whoever Tampa plays, it will be older brother versus younger brother. That is the way the game is going to go. And you see that is their game. Like they're going to try and physically pound you. They're going to try and get you off your game. And they've got the firepower to score at will whenever they want. And oh, by the way, they've got one of the best goaltenders in the world in Andre Vasilevsky.
Yep.
They've all been there before. Like the majority of the team still won cups, right? Like they are just like until someone pounds them out of submission and
Won't
they
have it
lose a
anytime
bunch
soon.
of guys. I mean, think about it. They're even still here, even though they haven't won the cup the last 3, 4 years, right? The fact that like they didn't fall out of playoff contention and they're this good
Yeah.
just shows you their longevity. And so, like, I really think Tampa wins this series in five. As much as I love the Canadians. I like their goaltending, their youth, like Nick Suzuki, Caulfield. I mean, Lane Hudson, I've got as like a hey, go pay attention to this guy in the playoffs because he was like second or third in the league in defensemen and in points or in assists. I mean, he was what's this? He was 10th in assists, right? But you got to pay attention to him. And they've got really great pieces. I love Martin St. Louis, but I just don't know if the Canadians are playing the Bruins, I think they got a chance. If the Canadians are playing Buffalo, I think it's an evener matchup. I just don't see how Tampa doesn't just it's like 5 games, but it felt like it could have been 6 or 7. Like it could have been like they lose by one, they lose in overtime. Like I don't know. I've got Tampa in five there.
Is this the best goaltending the Canadians have had in a while? Or is it just better than we've seen in the last few years?
I just think it complements the youth. Like it complements where they're at. For whatever reason, I just don't, in a world like when I think about Tampa's team, I think like 6'6" physical. And
Sure.
when I think of the Canadians, I think like 5'8", like fast and
Martin
skilled.
St. Louis.
I just like I can't, and I know that that's not the case. Like when you probably break down the rosters,
Right.
but
You're right.
but and I think Canadians were tougher this year than they've ever been. They were less inconsistent. I feel like the last 2 years they've been a little inconsistent in their play based on their youth. I thought they were much more consistent. Their team game was much stronger. Um, and I would need someone to bring me in on advanced analytics to tell me that they have a good spot here. But it's hard for me. I'm picking the Lightning.
Yeah, you got to. You got to take them until it's like the New England Patriots. You had to take them until you actually physically saw the dynasty fall off. I'm taking the Lightning as well.
Yep.
Real quick stop on the comments section, by the way. Didn't have the Sabres on the playoff bingo card, but I do not hate it at all. I knew I liked you for a reason, Rocky. Go Sid. So we are feeling it.
I
Down,
like, yeah.
under. Last one. You got the Hurricanes, perennial playoff team over the last half a decade, and the Ottawa Senators, who are trying to make them a perennial power team or playoff team over the next half decade. Your thoughts here?
To me, outside of the Sabres, I think this is the most compelling matchup in the entire first round of the playoffs.
Interesting.
On paper, on paper, this is Carolina's year. No Florida Panthers that they have to get through. They
Sure.
don't have to face like they're not going to go face the Rangers in the first or second round, like who's been like kind of a kryptonite in a sense. They've handled them, they've not handled them. Like it is like it's very much similar to how we felt like the script was written for the Bills to kind of win this year,
Oh, yeah.
right? Like I think the script is written for Carolina, and the fact that they have to go against the Brady Kachuk-led Ottawa Senators
Yeah.
is one of the reasons why this truly is a moment for the Hurricanes,
Sure.
right? They fly under the radar. They've made
Every year.
interesting moves, but they've all ended up being moves that haven't changed the way the team is played. They're one of the most fundamentally sound defensive teams in the league. They're physical. They've got pretty good goaltending, great coaching staff. And ultimately, what we've seen out of Carolina is they've never been like big enough to take the leap,
Yep.
right? They've never been big enough to beat the Lightning. They've never been big enough to beat the Panthers the last couple of years. But like Tampa Bay is not the same, and Tampa Bay's got to go through a buzz saw before they get to right. It's not just because they'll handle the Canadians doesn't mean the Canadians aren't gonna be they're gonna be one of the hardest teams playing in the first round. Like they're gonna go nuts,
Yeah.
and then they're gonna have to face the Sabres if they get through the Bruins,
Yeah.
which is gonna be an absolute bloodbath.
Yeah.
So you see, so like I just think when you look at Carolina, I see an opportunity for them, and I see a 7-game series versus the Sens. And there's already noise here. I think Paul Bissonnette, I think he picked the Ottawa. I think he picked Ottawa yesterday to upset Carolina. Like there's a ton of buzz here. I don't love Ottawa's team. I think they're spotty. I think they win literally on the shoulders of Brady Kachuk's leadership.
Yeah.
Tim Stützle's good. They've got good players. They've got good pieces. But in all reality, there's not a person in the game who doesn't think Brady Kachuk should get out of there and give himself a better chance to win.
Yeah, no doubt. I agree with that. And I think we started the show by talking about how exciting this Stanley Cup playoffs is going to be. And then as you talk about just the Eastern Conference side alone, the storylines are off the charts. Off the charts. And as easily as what you said could go one way, Rocky, is I think this year as easily as it could go the other way. You know,
Dude, totally.
every team you just picked, if we came back on here next week and for some reason all 4 of those teams lost, you wouldn't even be one of those moments where you're like, wow, I don't even know anything about this sport. It's like, no. Actually, the chances are probably 51-49 for every one of these series.
No doubt. And the juggernaut in the Senators Carolina series to me is Linus Allmark. And right, mid-season, absolute turmoil, right? It's rumored that his wife is telling on other guys, cheating on their wives, like disruption in the locker room. He has to take a
Can't be
step
good.
away, right? Like, dude's got to win some games. Like
Yeah.
right, like you've got to win some games. And again, like the Sens shouldn't be here, right? Like this should be the Wings, this
Yeah.
should be the Devils, or
Yeah.
this should be the Panthers
And it's
or the
not.
Leafs in all reality. Like
Yeah.
coming into the year, it's those 4 teams that should really be in this spot,
Yeah.
shouldn't be the Sens.
Yeah. And all 4 are
So
golfing right now.
all 4 are golfing. So I think that is one of the most compelling matchups. I'm going to take the Canes. I'm going to take the Canes in 7, though.
Can you spell Ukko Pekka Luukkonen?
I can.
Can you? 'Cause
Are you
that's
ready? Do you have
ridiculous.
it?
Yeah.
Do you have it on the screen?
I have it on the screen.
UKKO
Yep.
PEKKE dash
Okay.
LEKK
Okay. Okay.
ONEN.
You were close,
I'm
but you
so
were not
close.
correct. The fact that you knew there was a dash in there is actually my favorite part. However,
Oh, 2 U's and 2 K's.
2 U's, 2 K's. That's why I asked Ukko. Like when you said that name for about 3 minutes, I couldn't get off of who the hell is that. I need to go see what that looks like. Ukko Pekka Luukkonen. That is
He has
ridiculous.
6 K's in his name.
Hilarious. I see why you call him UPL because there's no chance you can get that name off on the broadcast.
Correct.
That's
Correct.
hilarious. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to hear from our sponsors, and we're going to come back. Now, the Western Conference side has not been determined from the standpoint of who's playing who, but the teams have been determined. So we'll finish today's show with Rocky just giving us his thoughts on those teams and his potential predictions for who might win on the Western Conference side. Before we do that, though, we let you know that if you want to win on the golf course this season, not off season, because we're getting going, people, then you need to head to figtreegolf.com. Yes, you heard that correctly. Figtreegolf.com is going to get you right for the 2026 golf season. Head there, use promo code Andrew Romanella at checkout. 15% off. Reaffirm your faith, reaffirm your love for the game of golf. Get out there with figtreegolf.com. It's not hard, people. I'm throwing things your way for 15% off. Use promo code Andrew Romanella. Figtreegolf.com, promo code Andrew Romanella. Back after this.
What is one thing every great leader has in common? They challenge their people to not stop at the first right answer. Tighten the Lug Nuts is a leadership book that will teach you how to move past the first right answer with entertaining and detailed examples founded in real-world concepts and experiences. Accelerate towards your professional goals with Tighten the Lug Nuts, one of the best leadership books available.
Yeah. Welcome back into the Rome Show. Full hockey with Rocky. Hump Day. For the people. We're breaking down the Stanley Cup playoffs. You don't call them the NHL playoffs in hockey. You don't call them the NHL postseason. You don't say those things in the National Hockey League. You strictly go with the Stanley Cup playoffs. And honestly, Rocky, it should probably be like Ohio State, like the Stanley Cup playoffs. Andrew Romanella, Rocky Romanella got you for another 10 minutes or so. And we have been joined all day with Rocky, reinvigorating the people on the rundown, more specifically, hockey with Rocky. All right. Western Conference. I'm going to pop the graphic back up so the people know who's in it. Start wherever you would like.
President's Trophy winning Colorado Avalanche.
Probably great starting point.
Probably. Well, I have them written down as like my the team I'm most excited to watch.
Okay.
Right. The Western Conference teams you probably watch the least here on the East Coast just because of the time of play.
Sure.
So I've got the Avalanche written down as the most exciting. They are either going to play the Anaheim Ducks of Los Angeles Anaheim Ducks of Anaheim, Mighty Ducks. They're either playing the Ducks or they're playing the Kings.
Okay.
I think in both cases the Avs are going to win in 5. That's me. I think the Ducks will give the Avs a harder time than the Kings will. I don't know why that is. I don't have a reason for that. It's just
fine.
a feeling.
Sometimes that's just as good, if not better.
Now the Oilers. Now by the way, here's what I will say about the Avs. Who's starting in goal because they split time.
I know.
Wedgwood was better.
Yeah,
leads the league in goals against, leads the league in save percentage. Like and to me, you've leaned Wedgwood, and you just have to do it.
Yep. And like you said earlier, with one of the Eastern Conference teams, it's just not good to go into the postseason and start 2 goalies.
The irony about the Avs is that their biggest question mark is goaltending, and they were good.
I know, that's why.
They're really good.
They're top 10 in the league, both of
so
them.
I can't sit here. I'm not going to sit here and question the goaltending.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm just not going to do it.
Or which one you go in net, right?
Now, the Ducks or Kings could also play the Edmonton Oilers. Yeah. Now, if the Kings play the Oilers, it will be the 5th season in a row where the Oilers play the Kings. And the Oilers have won 4 years in a row.
Yeah.
Regardless of who plays the Oilers, I'm picking against the Oilers in the first round.
I love it. I think that they've made it to 2 straight Stanley Cups. We've been bitching about their goaltending for multiple years now. They made a move, and now Tristan Jarry is the worst goalie in the league. So it seems to be the water in Edmonton over the decision on who's between the pipes. I just feel like it's that year, Rocky, where they lose so poorly in the playoffs that you have to go to the
You got to make,
drawing board
you
again.
got to do it. You got to
Yep.
do it. Like
Yep.
everything that you probably should have done already, you got to go
You got
do
to
it.
do it. Yep.
And it's funny. I think both the Ducks and Kings lose to the Avalanche, but
Okay.
I think they both beat the Oilers.
Do you see? I feel that. Do you see this as a year where there's a path for the best team in the NHL to get to the Stanley Cup and be a champion and a President's Trophy winner? Because to me, the Western Conference, that this is where the Avalanche, I do think that they could get through to the Stanley Cup rather easily.
Well, only because they only have to eliminate one of the other best teams. So
Correct.
here is now the most compelling matchup. So if the Sens Hurricanes is the most compelling matchup on the East for me, outside the Sabre storyline, which is going to supersede everything when you look at the public
Absolutely.
eye, right? It's the Dallas Stars versus the Minnesota Wild, right?
Okay.
Because it's essentially three of the best teams, three best teams on the West, right? Minnesota is even in points with like Buffalo and Carolina, et cetera. But Dallas, Minnesota, and the Avs, outside of the Hurricanes, have been the four most consistent teams all season. Right.
Yeah.
Early on in the year, we were like, dude, is Tampa Bay going to have it this year? We don't even know. Right. Early on in the year, like all of the teams that we thought were going to be there fell off. The Sabres came to fruition. The Flyers come to fruition. The Penguins come to fruition. Anaheim kind of comes out of nowhere. Vegas is Vegas. Right. But like Minnesota and Dallas and the Avs have been the most consistent teams at the top of the game all season long, and one of those two teams will be eliminated in the first round.
And that goes to show you how exciting this is going to be. Right now, Rocky, just so you are aware, here are the current matchups. If the season ended exactly how the standings currently sit, Colorado plays Los Angeles. Dallas plays Minnesota, to your point just now. Vegas plays Utah. You love the Willie Mammoths. And the Oilers play the Ducks. If it falters that way, I think a lot more chaos ensues because your point about Dallas and Minnesota eliminating.
No, they're going to play each other. There's no, because no one's going to.
That's the one that's set. That's the
that
one
one's
that's
definitely
set.
set.
Yes,
Yeah,
that
one's set. Like, so Dallas is going to play Minnesota, and for whatever reason, and I hate it because like a lot of people think Minnesota can win the cup, and this is their year. And like because of the Quinn Hughes trade,
Sure.
to me, I think they're gonna still have to overcome a couple of things. But like I want to pick Minnesota over Dallas more because I'm cheering for Quinn Hughes than I am for anything else. Right?
Yeah.
They make the big Kaprizov payment as it was last summer or the summer before. They get Quinn Hughes. Billy Guerin is the GM of Team USA. He seems like he's trying to construct something similar in Minnesota. Like they've got a lot of good there. I don't know enough. Like, listen, we know enough about Dallas because they've been there. They're very much like the San Jose Sharks were when we were growing up, the Joe Thornton years when they were good enough to go but couldn't get it done.
Yep.
And I think similar to, I don't know. I don't know if they're similar to Carolina in a sense, but like I just Dallas should. I don't know. I'm picking the Wild out of fanship, not out of anything else.
And neither goaltender is so good right now that you feel like there's an advantage in between the pipes on.
And either way, to our original point, it's going to be the Avs versus either Dallas or Minnesota.
Yeah, you're right. That's
right. So
point.
So one of those three teams will be in the Western Conference Final, no matter what.
Yep.
And unless the Ducks or Kings decide to upset the Avs and then upset whoever wins the Dallas Minnesota series,
right?
Which I just don't know if they're deep enough or veteran enough to do, or have the firepower. In all reality, by the way, the Kings have Artemi Panarin now, and that's never a good recipe for physical toughness.
No, I agree. All right, so we got the West to be decided both tonight and tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. The final day of the regular season is tomorrow, and then we get going this weekend with the Stanley Cup playoffs. Rocky, I have one question for you before you leave.
Vegas could play the Willies, or they could end up sliding down because I don't know who wins the tiebreaker against the Oilers. So it's all going to be decided the next 2 days.
And it's going to be very exciting. Last
Yeah.
question of the day. You ready for it?
Yes.
Okay. And you know this name. You know this name very well because you actually have scored a goal against this person. But yesterday, the New York Rangers, Jonathan Quick, or 2 days ago, it might have been yesterday, decided that he's done in the National Hockey League. Okay. Rocky, I put up a graphic on the screen yesterday of the top 15 goalies in the National Hockey League Hall of Fame. Okay. I'm going to read you here, Sir Jonathan Quick's statistics. Then I want you to let me know before you leave today if you believe he is a Hall of Fame goalie based on what you know and what his statistics are. 829 games played, 3-time Stanley Cup champion, Conn Smythe winner and MVP, 410 wins, 65 shutouts, career 2.51 goals against average, career 910 save percentage in the postseason, 49 wins, career 921 save percentage, and a 2.31 goals against average. Rocky, is Jonathan Quick a Hall of Famer?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Absolutely. He's the winningest goaltender in USA hockey history.
I
in the
believe you
NHL.
are correct about that.
He's the most wins as the USA. I mean, was it Ed Belfour? Well, but USA because Brodeur is
Yep. Well, this is just the top
This is all
15
time.
in the Hall of Fame right now.
yeah. There's no chance that Jonathan Quick's not a Hall of Famer.
But do you feel like, and I could be wrong here, Rocky, you look at this list, you do the numbers in your head, you're like, there's no doubt, right? But don't you feel like this is one of like the calmest retirements for a guy that we all think should be a Hall of Famer? Like, you know, when you normally read like a guy retires, like future Hall of Famer, or man, what a, you know, I feel like he got a little bit of his props, but because his career ended in a way with which he was on Vegas for 25 games as the backup and won a Stanley Cup in 2023. Then he spent 3 years behind what's his name in New York for Shesterkin. So now you have 3.5 years where you almost forget how good he was as a starting goaltender. But I was reading up on it yesterday, and I'm like, this guy.
Eddie Giacomin is on that list as a Hall of Famer.
Okay.
He's numbers retired by the Rangers, one of the like 7. Never won a Stanley Cup. So
look at the
what John Quick
list.
did, what John Quick did with the team, what John Quick did with the Kings is why he's in the Stanley Cup. Is why he's going to be a Hall of Famer.
If you have a better goals against average than Patrick Waugh and it's the same save percentage, I don't care who the hell you are. You should be considered for the Hall of Fame. But I had to ask you because
there's not many snubs like that in hockey.
No, and I agree. But this was the first time where I like obviously Ovechkin's going to be a Hall of Famer. He broke Gretzky's record, but like Andre Kopitar, right? Goes to retire, or somebody else goes to retire, and the first conversation about it is, oh, could this guy be a Hall of Famer? We're talking about it with Mike Trout right now. Now that he's kind of reviving his career, it's like, well, people forget the first 10 years of his career. He was the best. He's probably already a Hall of Famer. Whereas with Jonathan Quick, and I know that retirement thing kind of happened quickly, pun intended, but I just feel like the first thing I thought of was, man, this guy's going to go to the Hall of Fame. And I feel like I am the only person that has said that since he has retired. And I'm like, well, Rocky's the resident hockey guy. He would tell me if this was a stupid thought process.
There's not a person in the game who doesn't think he's going to be a Hall of Famer. I think Anze Kopitar is probably a bigger question mark. And he was a captain of a Stanley Cup winning team.
Yep, which we can get to on another day. But that triggered me down the line to Quick. Triggered me down the line to the stats, and I was like, I gotta ask Rocky because
he's too good amongst U.S. born hockey players to not be known that he's, and the fact that he did it quietly makes the case even better. Like no farewell tour later, dude. No farewell tour, like none of that. Like not many people realized it. Like people, so like listen, Marc-Andre Fleury for years
Yeah.
was like, this guy's lost it. This guy's lost it. He backed up for so many years. And then like he starts getting picked up. Like, oh
Yeah.
my God, Fleury's here. He's gonna help us win a cup in Minnesota. He's gonna do all these things. And you're like, when did this happen?
Yeah. Right.
Now
And
now he
it
went to
worked.
Vegas, he revitalized a little bit,
Yeah.
right? But like ultimately you're sitting there and you're like, Flurry got ridiculed 10 times worse
Yeah.
than Quick did. Yet by the time he retired, it was like, this is the best guy ever.
Yeah, they love him. Yeah, no, it's recency bias, and I think recency bias went the other way for Jonathan Quick here, where not necessarily people thinking worse of him, just forgetting how good he was for 12, 15 years for the Kings. Wow, Rocky, this has been electric, man. Thank you very much. Give us your last thoughts here before you get out of here.
Couple of people that are not going to be in the playoffs that had incredible seasons. Macklin Celebrini,
Oh
sophomore season, 4th in points, 7th in goals, tied with Kucherov at 44, 8th in assists, over 100 points. Only four teenagers in history have done that. The likes of Crosby, Gretzky, Lemieux. Pretty good
wow,
company to be in. Matt Schaefer, rookie, 2nd in the league for defensemen in goals with
the Islanders
23.
guy.
Yeah, tied for first amongst all rookies. So a really, really good young performance across the NHL. What a great season. And we're fired up for the playoffs.
Another year where my favorite player, Nikita Kucherov, just has such a good year, and no one talks about it. It is, I feel like you
Talking
and
about
I
it now. A
are
lot
the
of people talking
only
about it now.
Only you and I are the only people. I go on the Rome Show podcast in like freaking November. I feel like I brought up Nikita Kucherov, and I said to Rocky, no one gives this guy enough love.
I,
There's 130 more points.
I,
There it is.
if you were to ask me what my record is on predictions, I would tell you I'm 0 for my life, right?
That's hilarious.
Except this year we did rock solid, rock soft. I was rock solid on the Lightning, and my
Yep.
point was Kucherov hasn't played yet.
Yes.
And I'm
And
like,
you nailed it. You nailed it.
I'll never forget it because it's the only time I've ever
Only
been
one.
like dead accurate.
Yeah. It's
Let's
like, you know
go.
what? We should go clip that and play that again, huh? That's fantastic. All right, man. So we'll have you back on next week, and we will be in the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yeah, we'll have 2-3 games under our belt. Let's rock.
Wow, that's exciting. Oh, pun intended, maybe. I don't know. All right, Rocky Romanella, everyone. Fantastic stuff. You have a great day.
To my favorite fan, Meg. Have a great day.
Oh, she made sure she got in there for you. That's fantastic. You know what? Next week, I'll leave you guys alone. You guys can do the show without me. All right. I am Andrew Romanella. This has been the Rome Show. You have a fantastic
Hump day.
and we're back tomorrow morning around 7:10 a.m. Meg, thank you for your support. I appreciate you. Hey, everyone else, thank you as well. You might not comment, but I know you're there listening, and we need that too. I'll be back. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Andrew Romanella. Peace.
Thank you for listening.